I want to reflect again upon the legislation that's on Capitol Hill now to advance the minimum wage to $15 per hour. And I think the proposal that was passed by Nancy Pelosi in the House this past weekend was to increase the minimum wage to $15, but over a period of 5 years, that's up to like the year, what's it, 2021 now, where maybe by 2024, it'll incrementally get to $15 an hour. It doesn't go there in one fell swoop. Like from now, if it's passed today, you getting $15, as the minimum wage. And of course, the minimum wage at present now across America is $7.25 per hour. It's not enough money most people to live on. I am flabbergasted at the greed of business and major corporations in terms of their refusal to give more money to people to live on. And probably one of the problems or the issues with that, of course, is paying people more money for their work. Is that you inflate the economy to the point where then prices of goods began to go up. And with price of goods going up, then it costs more to manufacture. And ultimately, the owner of the manufacturer earns less money. But the disparity of wealth in America is just incredible. It's off the charts. And I'm for a minimum wage raise. However, I know a better way of getting a raise without having to ask the Congress or Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell, any of those creeps, for the raise, and that is to say is becoming a better employee. No matter where you're working, become a better employee. Years ago, when I had first came home from my visit to the prisons, I decided to go visit them for a couple of years. I considered going to work for McDonald's because at the time McDonald's had a management training program that would get you in a couple of years, you're up to $25,000 a year. This is going back 35 years ago. And I had considered also looking for, while I was working for Pastor Stan, I was considered the opportunity of going into hotel management, which would train you how to manage hotels. And again, you'd get an opportunity to get into management development, and then you could, earn a decent living. And $25,000 30 years ago, well, see, now 35 years ago, was not a bad salary just to get started with after a couple of years in either one of those two places. But I can tell you this, that you don't have to ask Congress for a raise if you are smart. And one of the problems is the people who need the minimum wage, many of them are young, and they're incorrigible. They don't understand the processes, and there's nothing in the culture of which they exist. And we're talking about Japheth and Hamites and Shemites. Well, not Shemites so much, but Japheth and Hamites. There's nothing in the culture in which they live that teaches them these principles about just go to work for get a job wherever you can get a job, and then work hard on that job. If somebody owns a business, go there, go to work as hard as you can. Give that man, whether he gives you $15 an hour for your hour work, you give him more than $15 worth of work, and do that every day the Lord sends. I guarantee you, you're going to increase. You're going to get more money. He's going to pay you more money. He's going to profit share with you. He's going to lead you into management. But there's nothing in our experience now that teaches us that. The movies don't promote it. The schools don't promote it. The churches don't promote it. The civil and social and groups don't promote it. So people don't know, and young people don't have any idea. There's a young man in our school named Brahima. His father comes from Mali. And his father came to New York from Africa, couldn't speak the language. And came from, he learned the language and then went to school at night, working as a porter or a janitor, cleaning toilets or something like that. I don't know what he did. Anyway, he went on to, because he came from a very poor environment in Mali, he understood what hard work was all about. So he worked hard, and he got himself a degree, and now he's a professor at a university. not knowing, coming to this country, not knowing how to speak the English language. It's just hard work. And he is greatly, and still working 2-3 jobs. We have another young woman in our church. Her name is Arthur Garcia Rope, Grace, we call her, who also went to the universities when she was born in Spain, I believe it was. She studied in England, and she's now in another master's degree program. She's bilingual. She's a teacher in our school. And now she's in the master's degree program here, and she'll be graduating, by the way, this May when graduation season hits. She'll be one of our graduates, but she comes from Spain and understands the principle of hard work and development, and she continues to educate herself. You don't find that any further. There are, years ago, people would come from Haiti or they'd come from Africa, and they'd come to America and they look at the American black, if they would call it at the time, or the American Negro, and say, these people are trifling. They're in this wonderful nation and they don't work. They're collecting money from the government. The people from Africa look in Haiti or some of the Jamaica or someplace would look and say, what is wrong with these people? They're citizens. They don't even have to apply for citizenship. They could all become millionaires. All they do is just got to go to work and stop listening to rap music or put down a damn basketball and pick up a science book. But they never did. And even that is waning now, because we're now 2 generations removed from the Hamite that came from Africa or came from Haiti or came from the Caribbean island. We're now 2 generations removed. That is to say, that the grandparents that came here years ago and understood, just work hard, you're going to get ahead. If you work hard, you can get ahead, you're going to own your own business, you're going to own your own home. I don't care where you come, what your skin color is, or where you come from. You can come from Africa if you want. If you work hard, you're going to own your own home and you're going to own your own business, and you're going to get a college degree. That was 70 years ago. Then he had a son. His son picked up a little bit of that incentive and worked as well. But by the time his grandsons were born, all they want to do is play skelly or do computer games or, masturbate all day long. And they don't want to work. If they get a job, they ain't gonna work. The boss man, they're gonna complain and they're gonna get fired. They won't come in on time. And so we're now 2 generations removed from the ethics, but you don't really need a minimum wage. You don't have to ask nobody for nothing. You get out there and you work, and no matter what job it is, it isn't. Listen, a personal example, of course, is I came from the cotton fields of North Carolina. I know what hard work is. For $3 a 100 pounds of cotton, I know what hard work is. And I worked my way up in a society. I worked my way up in America. And all that, but I used the same principle. When I was in prison, I worked my way up off the chain gang. I said, I can't stay on this chain gang. I got to get off of here. But that spirit is gone. I mean, it is gone like the wind. You look at the Hamite brother today, or the people that, the Mexicans are coming. They're not asking for $15 an hour. They're not. They're not a part of that process. They don't even have a citizenship. But they're taking over most of California and America in general. You see them all over everywhere now, of the principle of hard work, picking lettuce and picking grapes. And, you don't need a minimum wage. Now, I'm for the $15, but I would qualify it by saying we need to first go back and to train people what it is to actually work hard. Our young people have no idea. It is absolute. And most people working on jobs today have no idea that they've never really given a boss a full day's work. And if they do, they got an attitude about it. But life will reward you. And Jesus said it himself, if you work hard for somebody else, God will give you your own. And so I'm for the $15 minimum wage. But I'm more for the 15-minute principle that we have been teaching about how to advance in society. I remember years ago, I during the years of the homelessness, I could smell it this morning when I was praying. We used to have hundreds of homeless men come through this church, hundreds. It's the absolute truth. The place where Elizabeth and I now live, we have a room where we actually just sit and watch television. It's off from our kitchen. And one night when I was sleeping down here, which is the media center on rollaway beds, I went upstairs because my house where I live now was a homeless shelter. And there was, we had a musician named White. He had just came to be with us. And there were 10 other men living up there at the time. And I opened the door, which is now our apartment, and I could smell crack. And it was like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning. I made every last one of those men get up and tell me who was smoking crack in this. Who was smoking crack in this building? You should see me. I would jump. Who's smoking crack in the church building? Because this is a sanctuary, you know. It's a homeless shelter, but you don't get the right chance to act like this is some sort of public joint. You smoking crack in the church building? I'm gonna find out who the hell it is. And I made him tell me. I found out who was smoking crack in the building that night. Made him put his shoes on, his pants on, and I grabbed him by the nape of his collar and pushed him out the door in the middle on a rainy night. I remember those days, and I tried to tell those men, we can own Harlem, you can own the businesses. I tried to set them up in package delivery businesses. They could be Amazon today. I tried to set them up in setting up stores and the opportunity for buying houses, and all they did was cuss me out. That's all they ever did. But at any rate, I am thankful that we have a school now, and the children, the young people in the school are actually listening to me, and they're working very hard, and they're earning scholarships, and they're going to do great things in the world to come. So all is not in vain, I suppose is what I'm saying. But you don't really need a $15 minimum wage. You can tell a man, I'll work for you for $1 an hour. Just let me get a job, and I'll show you what my worth is. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.